I'm Ted London, Senior Research Fellow and Director of the Base of the Pyramid Initiative at the William Davidson Institute at the University of Michigan. And today I'm here with Lawson Latego, the Director of the Economic Development Unit at CARE. Latte, welcome.
Thank you, Ted.
Could you tell us a little bit about, just broadly about CARE and its mission?
Yeah, I guess everybody knows about CARE, but I can introduce CARE briefly. We are a non-for-profit organization set up in 1945 actually. Our main goal is to fight underlying causes of poverty by empowering communities. And our main focus is on women and girls because we believe women holds strong power in terms of bringing change to the whole community and the family. So in CARE we have three main programs that we call signature program actually. The first one is working with girls in terms of education. So we just launched this program and we want to work with 10 million girls in terms of giving them access to quality education and also support their leadership skills so that those girls can really become the next leader in the communities that we work with. The second big signature program that we got in CARE is what we call Mothers Matter. That means really to provide safe maternity for women so that they can really have this healthy living and then raise their kids in a good environment. And the third signature program that we have in CARE is providing access to financial services and economic opportunities. So this program is really focusing on Africa, where we want to give access to 30 million people to a suite of financial services in terms of savings, loans, and insurances. But on top of that program, we have also what we call the market-based initiative, where we try to work with growth-oriented entrepreneurs to create good opportunities for our target population. Because we believe that not everyone can be successful entrepreneur. Some of them will be, but not everyone. So we want to work with those who can be really successful to create this kind of opportunity, either for work or good income for those who cannot work or own their own business. So that's really what at least my unit is focusing on now. We call it this making market work for the poor. So in terms of connecting poor people to the market and creating job opportunities for them.
So your unit, the Economic Development Unit, has a strong focus on making markets work for the poor.
Yes.
How does that, why did CARE choose to kind of use markets as a poverty alleviation tool?
Yeah, we believe poverty is about also economic opportunities. It's lack of access to good markets. We believe that poor people, even though we tend to see them as poverty lines, interact with the market. They do business. They work with the private sector. And we thought as a non-for-profit organization, as NGO, we should look at poverty with the economic development lens. So we thought if we look at that with this lens, we should be able to target those poor and have this kind of partnership with the private sector so that we can put the private sector in the driving seat and work with them so that they can really target those populations that we work with. So in terms of economic development and also especially making market work for the poor, we look at that from three different angles. The first one is really to look at those poor people as producer in the whole bottom of the pyramid approach. So we believe if we engage with the business, we can go beyond the social corporate responsibility and look at the core business opportunities and to see how we can link our target population to the business, what we call more and more inclusive business. So those poor people can be part of the whole supply chain of a business. We also look at it from a workforce development angle, where we thought maybe some of them, as I said earlier, are not as business oriented as we love them to be. Even here in the US, I guess about 95% of those who start their own business fail. So we thought for the 3 billion people who are poor, we don't believe all of them should be a successful business owner. So that's why we also want to look at them as workers in the whole bottom of the pyramid or the base of the pyramid. So working with the private sector can also generate employment for those population that we target. And last but not the least is also look at those population as consumer, but not any type of goods actually. So we want to also look at that from the perspective of social values, environment. So for instance, I mean, we work with farmers. Like our program in Africa really work in rural areas. So how can we work with those group of farmers in providing them with goods that can really bring value to their family, like small-scale irrigation tools, or maybe storage. Like farmers in Africa lost about 40% of their crop in terms of storage. So how can we work with private sector to develop good quality, cost-effective tools that can really help those farmers so that they can maybe, instead of losing 40%, they can maybe lost maybe 5%. So that's what we are trying to look at. Poor people as producers in the base of the pyramid, poor people as employers or workers, and poor people as consumer. So that's how CARE is trying to look at the whole bottom of the pyramid approach now.
Now, as you think about the use of markets as part of your poverty alleviation portfolio of activities, are there any implications on your ability to scale and actually opportunities for CARE to generate revenues to facilitate other programs? Does that play a role in the decisions you make in terms of supporting market-based approaches?
I would say our first incentive is really to change the mentality of our target population. So poverty, as I said, has so many dimensions, social dimension, but more and foremost economic dimension as well. So we try to bring to our target population how they can perceive themselves as forces that can really bring change, especially when we talk about women. So we look at that from the market perspective. So our main focus is how we can work with our target population so that they can really be self-resilient and not depending on CARE, not expecting handout. And that's the message we hear, more and more from the community we work with. They don't expect CARE to bring any kind of goods, just pushing people as they have no capacity. But we believe if we can bring them the capacity, if we can bring them the tools, if we can link them to the market, they can be able to fight for themselves. So that's one key way we look at it from CARE perspective. Yeah, income generated for CARE, currently our budget is around $500 million. So we don't think we should be able to replace that from, setting up our own business entity. But nevertheless, we thought, if we can do that as well as another way to generate some income, to look at some innovative way to do poverty eradication work, I think that will be good. We have a good experience in CARE with one scheme that we set up together with another NGO, which is MEDA, is Microvest, which is an investment fund that CARE has set up 5 years ago, actually. So this venture is making money. But I won't say to the extent that we really need that. So we can use that very strategically, to see what kind of innovation we can bring by using this money, and also what kind of leverage we can use this money for larger impact, actually. So I would say the first motivation is really for the target population, and then if you can make some money to complement our program, I think that will be great.
So as you think about CARE and your role, have you begun to think about a strategy of how can CARE best facilitate these types of ventures? What are the points of intervention where CARE can make the biggest impact?
Yeah, we thought we can really, as a global organization, we work in more than 60 countries in the world. We have offices in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, Eastern Europe. And as I said, we just launched a big program in Africa trying to focus on 30 million people with access to a suite of financial services. So we thought if we can really leverage that, because once people have access to financial services, they can do very tremendous work with that. They can create their own business, etc. So how can we really leverage that for at least if you can get about 25% of those 30 million in Africa who can really run proper business and create employment opportunity for the majority? We thought we could, that can be fabulous. And also, how can we take some of our good works, like in Latin America, to scale? And also how we can replicate that in Africa, for instance. So we thought, CARE is well positioned to do that, because we have good examples that we don't really look at. But this new strategy that we are developing is really forcing CARE to look at our own experience in the field, in India, in Latin America, in Africa, and see what works and what we can take to scale. And also, we have to be honest as well, because I don't think we have only good experience. We have also some bad experience. So we should be able to look at that as well and see what doesn't work and how can we scale that down. We know as an NGO, we don't have, our core competency is not really to run business. So one key aspect that we are coming up with our new strategy is to see how can we, even though if we have to make some kind of investment, how can we make it in a way that we don't take like the majority position, but we do it with the private sector, those who know how to run business, so that we can bring them to in the game, so that they can also really leverage this support that we'll be able to bring to them.
So as you think about your experiences over the past few years, you've done this a number of years, what lessons, what interesting things have emerged over time that you could share with us?
Yeah, one lesson that we have is really in terms of investment, actually. To me, I don't think CARE is well positioned to make good investment in the private sector and being the leader in that, actually. As I just said, we should be able to co-invest with the private sector. And if possible, let the private sector take the majority position and leverage the private sector. One other lesson that we learn as well is really how we can work with the private sector beyond the social corporate responsibility. We believe there is a tremendous potential with working with the private sector. So how can we work with them also in the core business to engage our target population so that they can also work with the private sector? Because the way we look at that in CARE is really from the philanthropic social corporate responsibility side. So we thought one key lesson is really that we can also leverage the private sector by incorporating our target population, so that they can also try to look at them not only as poor, but those who have the capacity, who have the power to produce, who have the ability to work and to earn income, and also as consumers, as I said. So one other lesson is really to become more good in terms of knowledge management. As I say, we got good lessons that are going on in other parts of the world, like Central America, but we don't really pay attention to that at a global level. So how can we really look at those kind of experiences and learn from that, scale that up, and also try to bring that from one region to another and apply that, actually. So we want to get better at that as well. And the impacts, we are becoming very serious about that as well in CARE, because it's one thing to work and implement projects, but we should be able to know our impacts, and we should be able to define some clear metrics about what type of impact we should look at. So more and more we are coming to realize that the economic impact is not just enough in terms of saying that, yes, we have accomplished something, but we should look at the whole spectrum as well. We should look at the enabling framework. We should look at the social issues, etc. So we are trying to learn from that experience as well. And maybe one last thing is we need to get out of the project treadmills. Like we have very short-term intervention, 2-3 years, and it is also it's not a good time frame to have very strong impact. So we should be more creative and see how we can collect resources so that we can have more long-term program in the field. So that's one key lesson that we came about as well in care. So instead of just working across project, 2-3 years project, having more long-term strategy and then try to mobilize resources in a way to really have impact that really lasts with the communities. So
as you kind of look forward now, what can we expect to see in terms of economic development unit and your market-based approaches from CARE in the next 3 to 5 years? How will things evolve?
Yeah, we are going to put a strong emphasis on working with the private sector. We've been doing that, but not to a large scale. So I will see we have to be very strategic in terms of how we select those private sector as well. So we are going to strengthen our due diligence mechanism. But not only that, but we have to be better at monitoring as well. And how to work with this private sector so that they can really take the driver's seats. And then we can be there to support and share knowledge together. So, and also how to link people to the market in terms of what is missing in the market that prevent people to be completely linked to the market in terms of capacity, in terms of access to information. Most of the time, like when you take a farmer, he or she doesn't really know about the global trend. So we are going to take what we call more and more in care, the value chain approach. So instead of just looking at a spot, we want to look at the big picture and see who are the key players in a given sector or subsector, and see how we can maybe play more of a facilitation role to bring all the actors together, and how we can also support to remove some of the bottlenecks in the subsector. And we also want to become more in terms of policy and advocacy, actually, because oftentimes we realize that maybe the solution to a problem is not just in terms of intervention, at the community level, but how can you look at the whole policy framework that really prevent most of the people to get access to the market? That can be at local level or regional or national level, or also at the global level, actually. What are the key barriers in terms of maybe trade issues in the world that really prevent poor people in Africa or in South Asia to really get connected to the market? So more and more we are going to look at those kind of issues. And also one key area that we are going to focus on is documentation, communication, and learning as well. As I said, we do some good work in the field, but at global level we don't really pay attention. So we are going to really look at that very closely, see how we can document, how we can take some of our success to the whole world, how we can partner with academia as well, so that we can bring some of our cases to the school, have more thought on that, and see how we can further develop that. So more and more we are going to get better at that.
Well, it sounds like a very ambitious and exciting set of programs, and I look forward to staying in contact. Latte, thank you for talking today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. It's a pleasure.